Hey, hello. This is The Great Expanse. We're diving in quickly here. Let's finish up my space puzzle game thingy. I'm not really going to explain what this is. Watch my previous video on it. It's not linked in the description. So before I work on the levels, I wanted to get the UI done and out of the way. Well, here it is. There's a little backstory that plays when you open the game and then it takes you into this. And when you click, it takes you to the level select, which I haven't made yet. I was having an issue with scaling with the pixel perfect camera, so I wrote a script that scales UI elements up in steps instead of gradually, and now it looks good. I regret even making all of the UI pixel perfect in the first place, but it's too late now to turn back at this point. So now, when you click to start, we get this nice level select screen, which will automatically update as I add more levels to the game. I have a field for each level for the difficulty, so the UI will change colors based on how difficult each stage is. It will also display which levels have been completed and which haven't. But just like last time, since this game is going to be playable in the browser, there's no actual save system, so I'm just going to let the player choose whichever level they want to play. However, you kind of have to start the game from the beginning to actually grasp the mechanics, but I would assume most people know how to count and understand that numbers, believe it or not, start at 1, so I don't think that'll be an issue. And since I'm into it, here's the UI that appears when you win the stage. All in all, I don't love all of the UI I've made, but honestly, I could care less about it. It doesn't really matter all that much compared to the gameplay. When I started working on the actual levels, I realized I needed a more nuanced solution to what could attract what. So I added a gravity layer field to every body, which I can set to determine how something will act around other bodies. With this change, I can make black holes attract stars. I'm also making black holes not attract planets now, not because it makes sense, but because I think it adds more complexity for puzzles. So I wanted to make all of the actual game mechanics and systems on video, but I didn't want to make all the levels on camera because it would spoil the puzzle solutions. So I'm just going to show the first 3 I make because they're just introductory levels to dip your toes in the water. Level 1 just gets you to grasp the base mechanics. All you have to do is grab these 2 planets from their orbit and let them go towards the collector. It kinda lets you figure out what's what on your own without a tutorial. Level 2 introduces the black holes. You have to throw the 3 planets into the star to get it to collapse, and then use the attraction of the black hole to pull the remaining 2 stars into the collector. And level 3 forces you to use gravity on multiple layers. You use the stars to throw the first 2 free planets into an orbit or into the collector, and then you collapse the stars into a black hole to allow the star to be put into an orbit, which pulls out the planet. I'm going to make the rest of these off screen now. Ultimately, I'm going to come up with new ideas as I'm working, so when I finish all of the levels, I'll show off the new mechanics I've made. And they're done. That was so fast. As far as you're concerned, that took 2 seconds. So, there are 4 new puzzle elements. One is the classic mechanic that every puzzle game in the world needs, which is a pressure plate sensor thing. When a body is inside this area, it opens a gate somewhere else. Even though this type of mechanic is used everywhere, it's just so versatile. To make this, I went a little further than just the mesh renderer, as surrounding the polygon collider is a line renderer, which I had to create a custom script for. Funny story. So when I was making the line rendering script, I got to the point where I had to create a way for the line to have an offset from the polygon. And it's not really a super complex problem, but it isn't super trivial either, because you have to account for a convex and concave point differently, and the direction that a point travels inward is dependent on other points. I digress though. I figured a problem like this would be perfect for ChatGPT to try, and I was being lazy, so I tried it out. So I asked, and the snippet it gave me was rotated into shape, so I told it not to do that. I corrected it, and it still didn't work. I kept correcting it, and it just kept getting worse and worse. Eventually, I got to the point where I just said, yeah, you're not helping. And that is the push that ChatGPT needed to give me something that actually functioned. I'll regret being mean to our AI overlords someday, but for now, I'm happy I was. Remind me to delete this video by 1997. Except, no, this didn't really work. When I thoroughly tested it, I realized that this didn't work in concave areas. Nice. I guess this is why it takes me so long to make these games. So I just went back and made the scripts from scratch myself. I got this part working fairly quickly, which is better than most everything ChatGPT gave me, but I'm still having a problem with the concave sections. And I got it all worked out, and here it is done. And also, I checked later, and the code I wrote was actually very similar to ChatGPT's, except for one flaw that broke it. So either I'm more intelligent than an AI, or ChatGPT is absolutely brain dead. You decide. Anyway, this was a very long side tangent for something I didn't even need to do anyway. The second thing was added when I realized I wanted a way to keep stars and planets in place without the player being able to move them, so I made the Celestial Lock, which keeps any body inside it in place. And then I thought it would be cool to use the sensor to activate and deactivate these locks, so that's what I did. And just like the planet selection, when planets are locked in, their velocity is stored for when they release again. I used to have a gravitational pull on the locks, but every planet that collided with it inevitably had a really high speed because, you know, that's how gravity works. So I had to just turn it off because that obviously isn't going to be predictable at all. 3 is another variation of the Stardust. This new Stardust only allows planets that are selected to pass through it, so basically it means you can't release held planets from within the area. And then I swapped the color of the blue Stardust to red and made this one blue because I just think it makes more sense that way. And finally, 4th is the Comet Emitter, which releases a continuous stream of comets. I thought it could be interesting to be able to set up a path for the comet stream to go in, which could have several applications for puzzles, whether it be triggering a sensor, feeding a star, or just getting them to the goal. The Comet Emitter actually caused me to find the issue that with the same starting conditions, gravity could be applied inconsistently to different bodies. This normally wouldn't be an issue, but because some stages rely on a constant stream of comets, it became one. And I guess this is why they tell you to do physics updates in the fixed update method. Yeah, that was it. That was all that was needed to fix the issue. And now the comets all move in the exact same path given the same starting conditions, which makes comet-based levels a lot less frustrating, with the side bonus of making everything else in the game more consistent as well. So, that was everything new. I hardly even really used the other planet types in the levels because I didn't really see a need for them. I know previously I did say, I'll definitely make more, but this is just to get started. But, ignore that, I was dehydrated. Additionally, I want to mention a potentially devastating bug that I'm really glad I discovered while messing around. So, because I'm setting the positions manually instead of setting a velocity, it was possible that, if you moved the cursor fast enough, planets could just go through anything. Yeah, and it's not even that hard to do either. So I fixed it by raycasting between the previous position and new position for each time I set the positions, so it detects if there was anything in between them. And if there was something in between them, I'll just set the position of the object to the raycast point. And now it's all fixed. I'm really glad I caught this because that would have been game-breaking. Okay, so with that, I'm actually going to show off all the levels I've made, but not explain the solutions. The first few levels are really just introductions to the mechanics, but the rest of the levels really just get into it and use everything together. There isn't actually a tutorial per se, but I hope that through experimentation the player will learn the mechanics. See, by not making a tutorial, it's not laziness, it's enhancing the gameplay experience. Also, no sound, again. I'm realizing the extreme distaste I have for sound design because I once again really don't want to add sound. I feel like I should, but, as you know, I've mentioned before, a sound effect killed my father, so it's a touchy subject for me. Don't bring it up, or you're not invited to my birthday party tomorrow. I'm actually really happy with how the last few levels turned out, and I think they're moderately difficult. And the final level, I think, is pretty hard. I mean, it's not as difficult as a mobile game, but I think it's still challenging. Well, that's the game done. I did have quite a few other ideas for other mechanics and how the game could be expanded, but I'm done for now. I think this is a fairly unique concept, and I'm happy with it. I've never seen a game like this before, but feel free to tell me what game I completely and unapologetically copied in the comments. I've already prepared my Twitter apology in advance. It's free to play in your browser, so go check it out if that interests you. Or not, I don't care, I already got your viewer ad revenue. But wait, oh no, are you watching this video on mobile so you can't play this game? What a shame. Oh, but wait, I've got an alternative for you. Cavern Clinger is free to play and download on the iOS App Store or Google Play Store. I was just kidding before about not caring about you and only wanting you for ad revenue. Yep, that's what I'm going with. Also, since the video's over, did you know that, according to YouTube statistics, 100% of my viewers are already subscribed? So, we're all good here. Don't worry about anything. Yep. Yep. Anyway, that's it. As always, I would love to see future game ideas and suggestions from you in the comments. Stay tuned for more monotone devlogs. See you next time. Bye-bye.